Alrighty then, check it out. We're in the redwoods. 4,000-year-old trees. Whoa, dude. Yes. All right, so I want to tell you guys about something that I discovered recently that's real easy to use. It's a Dutch oven, okay? And this is an ultra lightweight Dutch oven. And basically it's made out of the Snow Peak Trek plate. This is 7.5 inches of titanium. It's only 2 ounces. This is the Evernew 6.5 inch frying pan. It's a non-stick frying pan. It's 4 ounces. Okay? And basically, when you put this on top of this, just like that, it makes an oven. So yeah, my advice is to nuke this thing. I found that starting the fire with leaves and bark worked. And then once I got the fire started, once I got a little twiggy fire burning, I just loaded a bunch of kindling on here and just nuked it. I just, cooked the heck out of it. Now, I had really good luck with my lamb stew, which I cooked in a aluminum pan. Titanium doesn't spread out the heat as evenly as aluminum, so you do have to burn this bad boy pretty hot to get what's in there cooked. But I am pretty confident that this is gonna work. It's just that you can't really be squeamish about how much wood you put on titanium. In order to get the inside of that Dutch oven hot, you're gonna have to really light a nice little campfire. And I'm enjoying it. It's nice. I mean, you gotta watch it, and it's hot. You gotta be careful. I wouldn't drink too many beers if you're gonna do this, because you have to pick up these little hot pieces and put them back on the fire. It's pretty easy to grab the wrong end. But yeah, so far so good. It's not really stealthy, but it is kind of discreet. It is a small fire. It's big enough to put off some heat, and it's kind of fun to watch. It's kind of like a little game, putting the sticks back on there. And I'm pretty happy with it so far. All right, so I guess that's it. I can finally smell salmon for the first time. And let's see here. The coals are really smoldering, they won't light. So I did use my little glove, this barbecue glove. It worked okay. I can smell the salmon cooking. I'm figuring it's finished. And we're gonna wrap this up in a second. Okay, so I'm gonna knock the ashes off of here, and I just want you to see how quickly I'm able to touch this titanium. That's a good thing and a bad thing, because it's difficult to cook with titanium because it kind of stays cool. You gotta put a lot of heat on here. And look at that blue color that you get from the titanium. That means you've been cooking. So yeah, check this out. I'm gonna touch it. Let's see. Woo! Man, that's still hot. Alright, so good. It's hot, which means it's cooking. I think I had too much water in there. Which is an issue. The water prevents the food from burning, but with titanium, it also really prolongs the amount of time that you need to keep your fire burning, and it really increases the amount of wood you need to burn on it. I just did really kind of burn my finger, so yeah, let's give it a minute. So check it out. There's my salmon. A little bit of water to prevent it from burning. It looks fantastic, to be honest with you. I'm pretty happy with that. And look at my titanium. Looks like one of the sulfur pools in Yellowstone. Pretty amazing, dude. All right, I'm gonna taste it. All right. So, it smells like fish. Tastes like lunch. There it is. Ba-boom. Ba-bam. All right. Amazing. Totally amazing. Titanium. Check out the other side. Let me wash that off. Okay, so check this out. The titanium is a lot easier to put in your pack than aluminum. The ash has a tendency to stick to aluminum, and it doesn't really stick to titanium. And you get this kind of interesting like tie-dye effect on your plate. And, you know, I'd much rather stick this back in my pack than I would want to stick aluminum in my pack. The aluminum Dutch oven top, the fry bake lid from Knowles, it's completely like impacted with ash. It's just filthy. It looks just like the wood. And this doesn't, this has a little bit of dirt on it, but it doesn't have so much dirt on it that I would be worried about my Dyneema, about my Cuban fiber pack. You know, I could put this back in my pack. Yeah, it has a little bit of dirt on it, but yeah, it's fine. I don't really think that this is going to rub off inside my pack in a way that's going to totally impact my gear, make my gear filthy. I think that this is a good deal. I could just throw this back in my pack and be on the go. It's only 2 ounces. Yeah, the fire that I had to build for this recipe was big. You know, bigger. It's not a twiggy fire. That's kind of like it's a kindling fire. You know, it's a small campfire. And it produced a lot of smoke. You know, once the stick started to smolder, it kind of let off a few plumes of smoke. So if you're cooking somewhere where you're not really supposed to have a fire, it starts off sort of discreet, but it doesn't necessarily stay that way. It does create some smoke. But overall, I would say that this is a total success. I'm very happy with it. I don't know why I would change anything. I guess I've discovered my cooking system for my ultra lightweight pack system. And I'm pretty excited. I think that this is fantastic, and I recommend it. Okay. And basically, when you put this on top of this, just like that, it makes an oven. Okay? Now, the way that it works is it's really easy to use. You basically just put sticks like this on top of here and just light a fire there. And it works exactly the same way as a toaster oven. When you use a toaster oven, there's a hot coil on top, and inside the toaster oven gets hot. The plate on top here, it acts as the coil, and it gets hot. And the space inside the frying pan is the toaster oven, and that area inside there gets hot. I pour water on my food to prevent it from burning, because basically you can't check your food. You can't saute it, you can't flip it, you can't check it. The reason I got into this idea of a wood burning stove is because I don't like to carry fuel. I don't think it's easy to buy. I don't want to carry it. I don't want to carry liquid fuel. I don't want to have to buy solid fuel, and I don't really know how to buy the fuel canisters, you know, most of the time, unless you're in Yellowstone Village. Where are you gonna buy that, you know? So I got into these wood stoves. Now, there's a wood stove that I really fell in love with. I didn't buy it, but it's the Firebox Nano made of titanium. Now, the Firebox Nano made of titanium is 4 ounces, and so is the Evernew frying pan. So this 6-inch frying pan is 4 ounces, and so is the Firebox Nano titanium. But the Firebox Nano titanium, you can't cook with it, right? So this is the same weight as the Firebox Nano titanium, but it's also a plate. It's also a coffee pot. It's not the most convenient coffee pot, but titanium gets cool real quick after cooking with it. So after a minute of putting your fire out, this will be cool enough to touch, and you can drink out of it. You can make spaghetti with it, and you can make stew with it. So basically, in order to prevent yourself from burning your food, you would cover your food with water. And so you want to think of any recipe that has to do with stew. There's basically rabbit stew, beef stew, lamb stew, carrot stew, maybe chicken soup if you're good at cooking, spaghetti, etc., ramen. All right, so you can cook all of that in here, and you basically would just keep your fire lit for about 30 minutes, and that's it. Now, the advantage to this over the Firebox Nano, this is the Esbit stainless. I don't have the Firebox Nano with me. It's just that ease of use. You know, it does pack flat. It doesn't pack as small as these little tiny wood stoves, but they're just a lot easier to use because you light the fire on top. Trying to put your fire in the bottom of these is very difficult. I've got a barbecue glove here that allows me to reach in here and grab this. So there's a lot of issues with this, is that it gets super hot. The only wood that you can fit into these little fire stoves are called ones. This is a one, Okay, the Firebox Nano is like 3.5 inches long. You're supposed to put little tiny sticks like this in there. It gets super hot. It's difficult to put it in there, and also your mug is super teetery and it can tip like this. Now, if you only have a limited amount of food, you're running the risk of dumping this out. Plus, it's super hot. You could burn yourself or burn your jacket sleeve. I made this little glove, which makes it easy to grab this stuff. But there's another issue. The amount of ones that you have to put in there. Like, I can't even find my one. Here it is. All right, so this is a one, okay? I've got a one here. You need to break these off. In order to use a little tiny fire stove, you would need to break these off at 2 inches. You would have to do this for 30 minutes, I don't know, an hour. It's not easy. Obviously, I can't even get this one done. Okay, or you would need to bring a Swiss Army knife with a saw, or you would need to bring a big old saw, like this Laplander. Okay, now, obviously, what's the point of bringing a Laplander if you're gonna bring a little tiny stove? You could have brought a bigger stove and gotten rid of the knife, you know? So, you know, basically, there's another issue, is that when you're cooking with ones, when you're trying to burn ones like this, they burn super quick. Have you ever lit fireworks? They basically burn as they basically burn as fast as the wick on some fireworks, and they turn into ash. And the ash fills up the space at the bottom of your fire, and that's where the air needs to get in to keep the fire lit. So the fire burns out super fast, and it also turns into ash super quick. And that ash prevents the fire from burning, so your fire can just go out just because your ones are turning into ash, and the ash is putting out the fire, and it happens fast. You need to be able to feed ones into the top of here constantly the whole time. It's super hot. Not to mention that you're bumping into this thing, and this thing could tip over, okay? Now, if you use the frying pan, that just makes it harder, because you can't see. You can't stick the ones in there. Okay, there's a lot of issues with trying to cook with a little tiny wood stove that goes underneath your frying pan. Yeah, you can look at your food, you can saute it, you can flip it, but you have to blow the ashes out from underneath here, and they go all over the place, so your ash is going to end up going in your food anyway. So it's a lot easier to cover up your food like this and burn any stick you want on top of here and just keep that fire burning. The ash doesn't get in your food. Also, it's totally made of titanium, so it's going to cool off super quick. Yeah, the top will get dirty, but you don't need the top. You've got this side that's still clean to use. If you bump into somebody else with a stove, you've got 2 frying pans, you know? So I think it's a pretty good idea. Overall, I think it's a good idea. The Firebox Nano Titanium is the same weight as this. So, you know, let's imagine that this was the Firebox Nano. This would be the same weight as this. Now, basically you can make spaghetti or coffee, or you can put chunks of meat in here and boil the meat in here. Or you can do that with this. You could make spaghetti, coffee, or put chunks of meat in here and boil the meat with this. It's the same thing. The number of recipes that you can cook with the two are exactly the same. The weight is exactly the same. The Firebox Nano maybe packs down a little bit smaller, but this is kind of shaped like an orange. You know, you'd have to find something to stick in here, like your dirty socks. Do you really want to eat out of something that you store your dirty socks in? That's kind of weird. This one, it packs super flat. You know, yeah. You know, just, yeah, anytime you add gadgets to your pack, you're adding weight and you're adding bulk, and it's not as easy to carry because your pack system gets more comfortable. But this is a pretty simple cook set, you know, and it does pack flat against your gear, you know. Oh shoot. See what I'm saying? Like, you know, you can kind of shove your gear in here. It does pack flat, so, you know, the disadvantages are few. One of the issues is that it gets dirty and you're gonna have to find some kind of ultra lightweight sack to put it in. When you break your 2s, this is a 2, right? Okay, so I just want to show you that, you know, when you break your sticks, if you're not gonna bring a saw, they don't fit into the little tiny wood stoves. Now, supposedly you could stick them in from the side, but that's just real hard. Okay, you're gonna get ash in there, you gotta blow the ash out. The ash is gonna go in your pan anyway. It's just easier to put it on top. I mean, that's just basically all I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna get the fire started here, and we'll get revved up. We'll start doing this.